Hello all and welcome to the Arsenal discussion show. Today we are going to be discussing the Arsenal game that took place unfortunately last night against Liverpool. There are some key talking points we need to get into, such as Martinelli pushing Conor Bradley, who was injured, off the pitch. I hope you do enjoy. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you are new for more from me. As you can tell a little bit, the cold has subsided. So without further ado, we will start the discussion. So for me, let's start at the hot end of the table, the thing that everyone's talking about. Gabriel Martinelli in the 92nd minute pushing Conor Bradley, who might have unfortunately done his ACL, off the pitch. I think there are a few things to note here. The incident, if you watch it back, Martinelli's looking the other way when Conor Bradley goes down, so I don't think he necessarily knows that Conor is fully injured and the extent of the injury. And Conor Bradley does at one point shimmy onto the pitch, but it's not a good look. There's no way to defend it. Equally, Martinelli's in the wrong. You shouldn't push a player off the pitch who's injured. What I will say is that I think that the media narrative around it is disgraceful. The fact that Gary Neville incited violence against Martinelli is completely inexcusable from his part, especially in the position he's in, where he knows that he has a global audience, where people will react to what he says. I think that's insane. It's also not even the worst thing that Gary Neville's carried out in his career. He's done miles worse. Look at what he did to Jose Antonio Reyes when it was United versus Arsenal. But I think Gary Neville should not be inciting violence against anyone, no matter what's happened on the pitch. I think that Martinelli shouldn't have done what he's done. I think it was probably an accident. Well, no, it was definitely an accident. He's straight away issued an apology. Arne Slot has come out since and said that he doesn't believe that it was intentional, like with the full knowledge of the situation. As has Martinelli's come out and put out an apology to Conor Bradley, and obviously that is not a good situation to be in. It's unfortunate. I hope that Conor Bradley gets a speedy recovery. But all in all, I think it's been blown up a little bit too much than what it was. And the apologies have been made now, and I think it's time to move on. The fact that Martinelli is suffering from like racism and certain death threats in comments on Instagram that I've seen is absolutely insane, and that shouldn't be happening. It's an incident that happened in a football match that he has done wrong. Don't get me wrong, Martinelli has completely done wrong, but equally I just don't think the media comments afterwards from Neville and Roy Keane really help the situation at all. I think that it takes a more sensible look to see it for what it is. The player didn't understand the extent of the injury. The player moved the guy off because in today's game, unfortunately, there's a lot of cheating in terms of time wasting. And that's basically the long and short of it. So that's my thoughts on the Gabriel Martinelli part. We thought we had to discuss that a little bit first. In terms of the game, the first half, we were a better side. I thought they had the best chance when they hit the bar. I don't know what Saliba and Raya were doing in that mix-up, but we were the better side in the first half. Then the second half came and it was all Liverpool. I think that Arsenal were lucky, in my opinion, to not concede a penalty to Leandro Trossard fouling Kirkes. And ultimately, if that's a penalty, you could be then looking at a second yellow card offence. My friend, who is a Liverpool fan and a massive one, stated that he doesn't think that was a penalty. But I've always been an advocate that if you get the player before the ball, it should be a foul, no matter where you are on the pitch. I like a smaller bar for a penalty, where he likes a stronger bar. So that's kind of where we're at with that. In terms of the first half, I thought that we were the better side in terms of wide areas. I felt like Trossard was making a few things happen. Saka had Kirkes on toast, but we just didn't really have that final action. There's one chance where Trossard cut in from the left-hand side, played a ball across, and Zubimendi got his foot on it instead of leaving it for Bukayo Saka, and that's unfortunate, but that's fine. That's just what happens. The second half, we were poor, very poor, and I think it ties hand in hand with Lewis Skelly, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I will just caveat this. I think Arteta's done a few things wrong in this game. I think his substitutions were too late. It allowed Kirkes and Liverpool to get that foothold. If you brought on Madueke 10 minutes earlier, then potentially he can then start having longer to have a go at Kirkes once Kirkes had settled into the game. I think also bringing on Miles Lewis-Skelly, it looks like there's either something wrong with him injury-wise or he's just really slow into that atmosphere when he's not known for the greatest of defensive attributes was probably wrong. You could have brought on Ben White at right back because he was on the bench and then put Jurrien Timber to left back. I thought that would have been a preferred sort of notion. I thought Zubimendi, personally, I thought he dropped too deep, was slightly poor in this game. I personally would have brought Eze on for Zubimendi and put Declan Rice at the base, and then that would have allowed us to have 2 10s to try and create and get a foothold in the game. Because whilst I understand the necessity at times to win duels, in that second half it wasn't like there was any duels to win. The reason I say this is because if you noticed, Liverpool's tactic was quite clear. They settled into the box, they pushed Arsenal back. This is the last sort of 30 minutes of the second half. By playing it around the back consistently, then going for one diagonal to a winger to get them isolated. Mainly trying to target that right-hand side with Lewis-Skelly because for whatever reason, Frimpong kept getting the better of him again and again and again. And that's a different aspect of the tactical mindset. I think what happened in that second half, and this is not a diss at Liverpool because ultimately they were controlling their controllables. They couldn't control the aspects of the game without the ball. So in their head, it made sense to get a positive result from this game to mitigate it, play it around the back and then try when they can with a low risk strategy. You can't slate it as an Arsenal fan. We've done it many times to other teams. When you are not the favourite for a game, you control your controllables. And I thought Liverpool handled it very well in the second half. But what I'm trying to say is when Hincapie went off, I mean, from the start of the second half, Hincapie looked like he had a bit of an issue. He wasn't running nor moving as quickly. Looked like he's in the end pulled a hamstring. What happened was we didn't have the pace to follow Frimpong in. So Arsenal got scared because Frimpong got in behind twice, which then meant that Arsenal then dropped their line back. Remember, we couldn't then press because if we jumped up and pressed, the space in behind, Frimpong's then going to get in again and again, and eventually that will damage you as a football team. So we weren't brave enough in the press, which is on Arsenal, because we were worried about that out ball. That was because MLS, Miles Lewis-Skelly, was slow in the transition, which is why, in my opinion, I believe that Timber would have been better suited to playing left back in that game. Now, but hindsight's 2020, Arteta's made the decision. Ultimately, that's cost us in terms of the potential 3 points. Because if we were a bit more aggressive and didn't get that Hincapie injury, we could have continued with the same vein we had in the first half and possibly have got the 3 points. I wanted to touch on. I've just explained why I think Miles Lewis-Skelly was off it. He kept getting in behind, kept getting done in the 1v1. I just don't think he's a very good defender. I really like him. I hope he makes it at the club, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's sold in the summer. Now, another player I wouldn't be surprised if they're sold in the summer is Victor Gyökeres. He has not covered himself in glory in that game. He has not come to his best game at Arsenal Football Club. He's not had a shot on target in the league for 7 games. He's not involved in any play, but he's equally not getting any chances. He's not making intelligent movement in the box. He's not showing himself to be alive. And I just think that Arteta must be holding out and being very careful about bringing Kai Havertz back so to not over-exaggerate an injury, because ultimately Kai Havertz needs to be fit and firing because he will be our centre forward as soon as he's fit. So I think Kai Havertz will probably start against Portsmouth. I think Kai Havertz will then probably not lose his place again if he's fully fit. Maybe a bit for load management at the start, but after that, once he's in the team, I don't see him dropping out of it. I think Gyökeres, unfortunately, as it stands right now, has been a failed signing. I think he's absolutely bobbins at movement. I don't think he's ready for this level. My issue with him is, with his build, he's quite strong. Yes, you're not agile, but you're quite strong, you're quite bulky. At least be a target. Mikel Merino, as much as I don't rate him as a striker because he can't run in behind, which Gyökeres apparently can run in behind, not seen it much yet, he can hold the ball up. So Gyökeres, you are built like a unit. If you're not going to run in behind or get on the end of things, just hold the ball up, contribute to play. Gabriel Jesus had 22 touches when he came on and he was shocking. Gabriel Jesus off the bench yesterday was not so good. It was not a good performance from him. But Gyökeres, you had so many minutes. Just do something to get involved in game. That's all you have to do. I know goals are your game. I appreciate some more chances though. I appreciate some more contribution to the team. It's not even like he runs when he presses. He jogs when he presses. So it's not that intense. But all of that in mind, and let's be honest, Arsenal fans, we're 6 points clear, the top of the league. We've played Liverpool twice. We've got 4 games left against the Big Six this season, out of 17 games. It's not the end of the world. It isn't. I think that overall we're in a positive position in the league. There's nothing to worry about. I do think, actually, and I'll go into this quickly, there's a mentality problem at Arsenal. And what I mean by that is Gabriel Martinelli doesn't necessarily do the actions he does against Conor Bradley if he's not a little bit insecure. I think that this is not the game to over-egg the situation. Ultimately, the time that Conor Bradley's on the ground will be added on as extra time. He doesn't need, it's not going to stop us scoring a goal if he's down having physio. It'll just be added on at the end of the game. So there's no rush to get him off the pitch, even if he's cheating. And obviously he wasn't cheating, but you know what I mean. And that makes me worried that some of these players are quite insecure and maybe not mature enough for a title race. And that does overextend to some of the parts of the fan base I've seen online. I think that there's a lot of worry in this title race because City have done it before and caught us. This isn't the same City. Don't worry. Semenyo might come in. It doesn't sort the backline out. They're conceding chances on a weekly basis consistently. They're not as controlled in games. They will drop points by the end of the season. Arsenal are comfortably the best team in the league at the moment this season. Comfortably, it's not close. So a 0-0 draw to Liverpool, don't worry. Every game can't be a cup final. So let's not make it be one. Just relax, let the result come. Martinelli, I think it's probably part of that. I think he's worried about the title race. I think he's also put more pressure on himself than necessarily needed on the basis that he is obviously out of the team by Trossard, and he's probably putting a lot of pressure to get himself back in because he doesn't want to leave the club, and ultimately I think he's worried about his place in the squad because of the minutes he's getting. So it's very intense. It's very intense from Arsenal at the moment, and I just think Arsenal are weak mentally at the moment, which it comes from the fan base, right? Everyone online's losing their heads thinking every game we need to win. There was no need to absolutely win that game yesterday. And I think that's important to note. It's going to take more than one game to derail our title. We can only do it by shooting ourselves in the foot, so keep calm, carry on. I think if we'd have won a Premier League before, that sort of reaction wouldn't have happened from Martinelli. You just sort of keep calm and you continue. There's still the 6 point gap. We've got City to play at the Etihad. Even if they win that, it's a 3 point gap. That's one game or a draw. So don't worry for now. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed what I've said. I hope you've agreed with some of it. You don't have to agree with all of it. Apologies about the background. If you don't know, I'm moving house very soon. So we're clearing every room out slowly. So there's a lot less in the background. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.